Welcome back. I'm Feroda Moonrunner. We have a lot to talk about. This week was the midnight reveal, and I am quite excited. Most of my predictions were mostly wrong, but I'm very happy with the story and the features that are coming. I promised I would review how many of my predictions were correct, but I also don't want to spend the whole video saying I was wrong. So I'm going to talk more generally about what's coming in Midnight while reviewing my predictions. So let's get going. My first predictions, and the first video I made, were all about the zones we would see in Midnight. I expressed concerns that revamping Quel'thalas alone would feel like too much of the same thing: a golden forest, a spooky forest, and a troll forest. I suggested a few different ideas, but my safest prediction was that Quel'thalas would be rebuilt as 5 zones: Quel'danas, Eversong Forest, Ghostlands, the Amani Empire, and a brand new zone I called the Northern Isles. My Northern Isles idea was based on old World of Warcraft concept maps that placed the Dragon Isles near Quel'thalas. My more exciting predictions included full revamps of the northern half of the Eastern Kingdoms. This was based on a developer comment, but also based on recent questlines that have taken us back to Terrasfall Glades, Gilneas, and the Arathi Highlands. And, well, I was wrong, but not entirely wrong. We're getting 4 zones. Instead of Quel'danas, Eversong Woods, and Ghostlands being separate places, they will instead be combined into one Quel'thalas zone. My prediction of an Amani Empire zone is happening. They're just calling it Zolaman. I considered Zolaman to be one city in the Empire rather than the Empire itself, but I'm taking this win. I also correctly suggested that just having a bunch of forests would be too samey for an expansion. The remaining zones solved the forest problem by not being part of Quel'thalas at all. The Void Storm is a brand new area created specifically for the invasion in Midnight. It more or less serves the same purpose as the Northern Isles did in my prediction. It's just a new space where they're free to do anything. The last new zone really surprised me. Harrendar is the home of the Harrenir. I intentionally omitted the Harrenir from my Midnight predictions because I was still a big believer in seeing their home before the end of the War Within. I was quite convinced that the Harrenir zone would be part of 1127 and serve as an epilogue to the War Within. I thought that Harrenir as an allied race would also come at the same time, but I was wrong on both counts. Most of my Eastern Kingdom's predictions are in shambles at this point, but there's a small bright spot. We learn that one chapter of the campaign involves Arator traveling to past areas in the Eastern Plaguelands. The developer specifically mentioned Light's Hope Chapel and Stratholme. There's also a new returning player experience that takes place in the Arathi Highlands. It's not the revamps I hoped for, but it's something. I'm very curious to see what additional zones we'll visit during Midnight. The story we know so far does not give many hints about the future, but it does leave the door open for my return to Khazalgar prediction to be valid later. I get one easy point in this next category. I correctly predicted Void Elf Demon Hunters, but I feel like this was obvious. The other race class combos I predicted have not shown up, but some developer comments and interviews have made it clear that more are on the way. They didn't say enough to make it clear if we should expect those later in Midnight or in a future expansion. I was a believer in the third Demon Hunter spec. The evidence was all there on Koresh, but I, again, misjudged the timing. I expected the new spec to be a mid-season addition the same way that Augmentation Evoker was introduced, so I omitted it from my predictions. And the new race I couldn't predict turned out to be the Harrenir. Again, something I expected in the War Within. I think they look awesome. I'm a lot more excited to make a Harrenir than I was to make an Earthen. Druid is my favorite class, and I'm excited to see the rest of the Harrenir animal forms. I'm a little disappointed they didn't have more to share for classes and races, but it's possible that the more exciting announcements are being saved for later in the expansion. The new cinematic makes it very clear that paladins will play a major role, so maybe those race class combos are coming a bit later. And the new models for the Amani trolls obviously reuse existing player skeletons, and that leaves another allied race open as a possibility. I'm taking a bit of a detour in my predictions to say that I was wrong about something else. My first non-prediction video is a quick rundown of all the Blood Elves I expected to be important in Midnight. I think I covered the bases pretty thoroughly. I even grabbed some fairly unknown characters. I did pretty good. Lorthamar and Liadrin featured in the new cinematic. Alistor is in charge of the new Prey feature, which I'll talk about more in a bit. There are multiple military factions to work with in Silvermoon City, and I have to assume that Haldoran and Romath will be among them, if they aren't dead. But I also omitted a few Blood Elves intentionally, because I didn't expect them to be important. I briefly mentioned them at the end of my Blood Elf video. Kain, Quel'thalas, and Valeera. And I was very wrong about Valeera. She may be the Blood Elf we end up spending the most time with the entire expansion, because she's been confirmed as our new Delve companion to replace Bran. I've been laughing at my error. I think Valeera is a cool, unexpected choice, but it is amusing that the One Alliance Blood Elf ended up as our companion. Once again, I missed the mark on hero talents and talent points in general. Based on previous developer comments, I assumed they would not give us any more points or any new talents in the Dragonflight talent trees. So I expected a 10-point expansion of hero talents. Instead, we're getting new talent points for all the trees. Hero talents are being expanded, but not how I predicted. Instead of a whole new set of 10 points to modify the gameplay further, we only get 3 new talent points that will give an additional expansion to the current tree. Interestingly, because the new points are a new column rather than a new row, that means we should be able to access all the new talents immediately by removing points from the older talents. We still get to modify an existing ability the way I hoped, but this will unexpectedly be included in the spec tree instead. The spec tree receives 4 new talent points that can either be placed anywhere in the tree or placed into a new 1 to 4 point Apex talent that is intended to be a huge upgrade. The developers showed a couple of quick examples, but we'll have to wait to see more. The final 3 talent points can be placed anywhere in the class tree. I'm really excited about this, especially for my druids. There are a few nice-to-haves in the class tree that sometimes get abandoned to be stronger in group content, and just a few extra points could open up a lot of new possibilities. I am glad to be wrong about this prediction. I think what we're getting is much better. I have one more prediction to talk about, but before that, I want to take a minute to mention some other exciting details about Midnight. First up, Prey. I am primarily a world content player, and as much as I love it, it can feel pathetically easy. Beyond that, we haven't really gotten new outdoor systems, except perhaps zone events, since world quests were added in Legion. Prey lets you track a dangerous villain who is also watching or tracking you. They can ambush you in the outdoor world when you least expect it, or so they say. I really need to see how this works in practice, but I'm intrigued by it. I like variety in outdoor content, and this new system could add a bit more danger to the world. The other new old idea I'm happy about is multiple raids in a single tier. Instead of one large raid, the first tier of Midnight is split into 3 raids. A 6-boss raid, a 1-boss raid, and a 2-boss raid. I love this. Some of my favorite memories are time spent clearing Gruul's lair and defeating Mctheridon in the Burning Crusade. I've been disappointed by the lack of smaller raids for the last few expansions. I hope this isn't just a one-season thing. I hope we see additional raids in later seasons, though I could understand the final season feeling more exciting with one large raid instead. And I cannot end this video without talking about player housing. I intentionally omitted everything about player housing from my predictions because we already knew it was coming. But despite all the information, we've already received, it continues to exceed my expectations. I cannot overstate how excited I am for housing. I highly recommend watching both of the Creator Clash housing segments. The possibilities are wild. Now let's wrap this up. My big prediction for the final boss of Midnight was Queen Ashara. And after a week of announcements, we still really have no idea who the final boss is, but it's probably not Queen Ashara. Notably, we have no idea who the final boss of the third new raid will be. The third raid of the first tier is a two-boss raid called the March on Quel'thalas, and the developers were much more secretive about it than the others. This has led to speculation that it is a confrontation with Xal'atath, perhaps our final confrontation with Xal'atath. That would leave the door open for Queen Ashara, or really anyone else, to show up later. However, during an interview, Maria Hamilton was asked about the Naga making an appearance, and she mostly dismissed it. She didn't totally shut the door, but it seems unlikely that they'll play a major role in Midnight. In the same answer, she openly confirmed Sylvanas making an appearance, so I think it's safe to say Queen Ashara probably isn't happening. And that's it. All the major Midnight news from this week, and all the ways I was wrong about it. I'm happy to be wrong. What we've seen of Midnight so far is very exciting. The alpha is said to be only a few weeks away. We might not have to wait long to learn more about what is coming. Thanks for taking the time to watch all the way to the end. Please consider liking the video or subscribing to the channel to help me out. If you're looking for something to watch next, check out my rundown of all the Blood Elves you should know for Midnight. I did skip Valera, but it'll teach you about everyone else you ought to know. Farewell.